I'm Lara. I just wanted to give you a little bit of background about me and the reason behind my channel. I was adopted at 9 days old, and despite having a very loving and stable upbringing, my own sense of well-being and happiness and my own mental health was extremely challenged over the years. And nobody could really explain it, certainly not within my family. My parents had no idea that I might have those kinds of issues. There was no education around that really at the time. Back in 1970, the blank slate theory, as they called it at the time, was that, you know, if you adopted a child very close to birth and they hadn't had any type of trauma before coming into the new family, there was no reason to think that things wouldn't run smoothly. And our experience was very different to that. My relationship with my mum was very troubled, and I felt very withdrawn. I was very compliant as a young child, very rebellious, angry, and later depressed as a teenager. And my relationships with people all around me, but more particularly with my adopted mum, was very difficult, and really there was no explanation for why that was. Fast forward to my own adult self, I needed to try and figure out what was going on for myself, so I kind of went into therapy, had lots and lots of therapy and counselling from quite a young age. I think 20 I had my first counselling, and I am now myself a psychotherapist. I work in private practice, and I help and support people to try and find ways to live with a sense of inner peace and well-being. I did quite a lot of research around well-being, and more recently research into the adoptee adult population and looking at their ability to achieve a sense of well-being in their lives. And it shows, the research has found that it is rather more challenged for us adoptees than the rest of the average population, and that's regardless of whether there has been any kind of pre-adoption trauma other than separation from birth mother, which, as we now know, represents trauma. Wasn't necessarily known back there. So when I found all of this evidence, I kind of went to my mum and I just said, "Hey mum, look, that this seems to suggest that you and I were never really going to have a smooth ride, that there were certain things that needed to happen that you needed to be aware of and that I needed to be aware of in order to both live better and to have a more, less volatile relationship." From her perspective, she felt as though I didn't really feel very at home in that family, and that's because actually I did struggle to bond within that family, and for that reason I then felt very guilty all my life. Had somebody told us at the start, well, not me, obviously I was too small, but had somebody told them at the start that some of these obstacles might have been, then they would have been more prepared to navigate those and not treat me as though I was their own child in terms of the support that I needed, but that to be on the lookout for certain things and then to do certain things in a particular way. I think that has been the main thing that I wanted to achieve, was to bring those findings to people who are considering adopting in the future, so that they can be mindful of what has been found in the research, so that they're fully aware of the things that might crop up and how to address them. it's not to say that adoptees can't achieve well-being. They can. It's definitely going to be a journey that's sort of fraught with issues of rejection, abandonment, and identity issues, but adjustment can happen, and there are just a few things to consider for that to happen. So I wanted to kind of spread the word on that. In fact, my adoptive my mum, but I'm saying the word adoptive to put it in context, has asked me to make sure that I do spread the word on this, because I think both of us, as I said earlier, would have had a much more peaceful life, relationship with each other, different expectations, and more open dialogue around some of these things. So that's me, that's what I'm all about, and I should be talking about all of these topics, my findings, the toolkit, and looking to bring that to you via this channel. So thank you for watching, and I hope you find it useful. Thanks.